Here we are. We now know who's going to be in the All-Ireland final. It's definitely going to be Dublin and it's going to be Kerry. Based on today, the big question is, before we even analyse today's game, can Kerry do it? Can they stop the drive for 5?
I'd like to say they would, and they'd be able to. If they go anywhere near like the first half today, they won't. They need the second half, and they need probably another 15 to 20% even on top of that. Yeah, they have the ability, they have the forward power, but they need some of the players around the middle to really show up, and they need to bring a couple of different game plans to it. There's no doubt about it. Prior to this game, and I think I said it to yourself, I had gone for Tyrone purely because I thought they were conditioned better, I thought they were physically stronger, I thought they would just grind Kerry down, and I thought this Kerry team were just maybe a bit young to kind of, feel that for first experience and get through it. But I was pleasantly surprised that they did it, and they did it in the manner the way they did, in the sense of they were well behind, beaten in lots of different sectors, getting plenty of it from Tyrone in a physical nature and a verbal nature, but then they just went absolutely full on second half, pushed up on them in every manner of the way, and just went for Tyrone, went for the juggler, and really impressed me in that second half.
You were going down memory lane with me earlier and you were telling me of memories you had of Tommy Walsh coming in and cleaning you out, the days when you were wearing the green and gold of County Meath. Now he's still playing, obviously a little bit older than those days, but he still has a massive impact. Until he came in, Kerry were struggling.
Yeah, well, I think they had turned the tide. I think the start of the second half, I think they were getting caught between two stools of whether to drop a man in front of McShane to try and act as a sweeper, and yet they were doing that, but they weren't getting close enough to McShane. So they were leaving Foley kind of hung out on numerous occasions because they weren't actually. I could see it sometimes. Tyrone were driving forward, and the sweeper was actually running out towards the Tyrone lads rather than actually going the other way to double up. So once they sorted that out, and once they squeezed up on Tyrone, and once they went man to man on it, they really started to turn it around. They put pressure on Tyrone where they needed to put pressure on it. Of course, Tommy Walsh made a massive difference. He's an unbelievable player, physically so strong, knows where to go. He won one or two kickouts, which I pointed out to you, that he had to go and win at a vital stage. Tyrone had really squeezed up, and he came and won them. Won one or two vital balls into the full forward line where there was a lot of stuff going on. Won is free, and acted as a different foil for Clifford and Geaney in there. Was a different kind of nearly direction that Kerry could play the ball into. They could give him dirty ball, they could give a ball out in front of him, and he did really well. But I think the tide was turning for them, but he definitely added something for it.
Obviously, when one team wins, there's another very disappointed side. I spoke to Mickey Hart downstairs, and as you can imagine, hugely disappointed. One or two talking points. Now, in fairness, he didn't go completely for the jugular. I had to kind of pull it out of him, but right. He was disappointed with the refereeing performance. He felt that perhaps the 6 minutes, they didn't get 6 minutes because it was, lots very stop and start in those 6 minutes. And he also felt that perhaps, as he put it, he'd need somebody objective to look at it, but he felt some of the Kerry frees were a bit soft. You should be objective. What's your opinion?
I would agree with him. I thought one or two in the first half were soft that Kerry got, and they needed to get to keep them within touching distance, and then started the second half. Can sometimes go this way. Maurice Deegan, the referee, would have a lot of criticism thrown at him that he's a centrepiece of a game. He's always seen. People will always say a referee should not be seen or heard. You shouldn't actually notice who's refereeing the game. That really shows that they're on top of it. And I actually referenced it. I said, first half, first 35, 40 minutes, he actually let it flow a bit. But then he started to blow up a couple of things I thought where Tyrone were just really doing really well defensively. Like, they swarm around you, so where I'm kind of grabbing around you, and next thing some guy tries to make a move, the referee will give it that I'm pulling you back, or another referee will just go, no, they're really doing really well, they're just hands on, but they're not actually pulling and dragging. And I thought he gave them a couple of handy ones, which again kept them more in touch. But on the flip side then, Tyrone came down the field, and they kicked two really bad wides at one stage. McShane had a free, he kicked badly wide, and then he got another chance which he kicked wide at a vital time where they needed to kind of keep that 4 or 5 point gap. And then the goal was the big difference, and I really felt whoever got the goal was going to win the game, and Kerry got it. Brilliant goal by O'Brien, brilliant move by Kerry. I think Hart, he probably didn't reference it, but they'll feel that they probably had a goal chance or a penalty shout, definitely, where Petey Hart, a ball kind of palmed across at him, and just as he went to go, I can't remember who was marking him, but he just tugged back on his arm, restricted him that he could actually go with two hands, and he actually ended up kind of, at a stretch trying to get his right hand to it. He never got the power behind it, and the goalkeeper saved it. So they're probably, I think he has the 6 minutes in extra time. You probably need to have a timer on the extra time, because most teams now, as soon as they see whatever amount of time come up, they just say, let's slow it down, let's foul, let's slow it down, let's throw some subs on. Like Kerry put a sub on, and it was quite clearly Tom O'Sullivan was meant to come off, and he was staring at the thing kind of going, me, but he probably wasted a good 40-45 seconds. But that's game management, and listen, if Mickey was ahead by a couple of points, they'd be doing the exact same thing.
And that's the thing, and I think that's quite important to say as well. Officials and Maurice Deegan and every other referee, they're only human beings, and for example, that Tom O'Sullivan example that you pointed out, like, a referee can't do much about that, really. This comes down to, like I said, game management, and what we saw here today was cute Kerry Hoors being cute Kerry Hoors. They just left it a bit late. Yeah,
it is, and that is, I still don't get why timing and all that is left to a man who has all the other stuff to deal with. I think that needs to be looked at and probably taken out of his actual, his duties and areas of responsibility. I think they have enough going on, but we won't go into that here. I think Kerry were...
No, I want to go home.
Yeah, exactly. Kerry were... We'll get on to fixture chaos in a minute. Kerry were... cute in the second half. I thought they were very naive first half. It was like they just saw Tyrone. It was like someone just put them in and said, oh, by the way, you're playing Tyrone today. It was kind of weird. It was like they had done zero analysis of them, or maybe they overanalyzed it, because Tom O'Sullivan was all over Petey Hart and did a really good job on him now, because people say Petey Hart had a poor game, but Petey Hart was literally man-marked out of the game. He couldn't get free of O'Sullivan at all. Kerry lost that bit of impetus that O'Sullivan brings going forward, but at the same time, the other players who are meant to drive Kerry forward weren't doing it in the first half. And in the second half they were. The second half they got the finger out, they really pushed hard, and as I say, they brought the game to Tyrone, and Tyrone, some people would say they collapsed. I think this one will hurt. I think this one will hurt. They fancied probably going in against Dublin with a different style of play with McShane in full forward. I think they probably felt they could give Dublin something different to worry about. And I think this collapse will. I think that because it was a collapse. 4-5 up, and to be bet by 3, and probably could have been bet by more, is not a great finish to a decent year for them.
Finally, if you were Jim Gavin sitting at home in the armchair this afternoon watching this game, and I know it's probably hard to predict, but what kind of team would you be thinking I'm going to put out against Kerry?
Doubtful he was in the armchair.
I'm just painting a nice picture here. They probably have an armchair inside for him.
Yeah, he probably has a special section here, but it's nothing to do with the money. I think he'll realise that Kerry have... Like if the Kerry performance, if that was any other team in the country, bar Dublin say, against Tyrone, I think the score at half-time probably would have been 9-2, because they got 3 or 4 scores that were just unbelievable, and only Kerry fellas could kick them. Okay, Mannion kicked 1 or 2 like Clifford did yesterday, to be fair to him, but Clifford caused an unbelievable score. O'Shea got 2 from out around the 45-50 metre, 10 metres or so in from the sideline, on his right foot, kicking across himself against the breeze. Unbelievable score. So Kerry could have been 7 or 8 down. So Gavin will look at that and go, well, they have the power and they have the ability to get scores from anywhere, even when they're playing really poorly. So if they bring an intensity to this, which they will know, because Mayo brought it for 40 odd minutes yesterday, and Mayo do not have the firepower that they have. They have nothing like it, as a matter of fact. So Kerry people will say, if you can match the intensity that Mayo brought yesterday, if you can get the matchups right on the likes of McCaffrey, Kilkenny, Fenton, that's where Mayo probably tick the boxes a bit better. They've got guys who can match up better with like the likes of Durkin, the O'Shea, Ruan. So the big question for me is, can they get the matchups right? Can they take out some of Dublin's big players? And then can their own firepower really start to excel and go with the frailties of the Dublin full back line? I think it's going to be a really high scoring final. I think it's going to be a shootout. And I think that's the way it'll have to be.